Hey everybody, this is Bro Matt from Buddy and Bros Travel Adventures, and I'm here to share my genuine reflections on my multiple trips to China. So stay tuned, and I'm going to answer some, I'm going to pose the questions that might be most useful, and I'm going to answer those questions for you. And I've got a lot to say, so stay tuned. Hey friends, it's Bro Matt here from Buddy and Bros Travel Adventures, the local OY, the LL, and I just wanted to share with you all some of my reflections from my trip most recently to China. So the first question I would answer would come to mind is, what surprised me? And a lot of things surprised me when I was there, starting right from landing at the airport. Keep in mind, we were going to a tier 1 city, which is Chengdu. It's in the southeastern province of Sichuan in China, and it is a tier 1 city. However, I think what was startling was the level of cleanliness. I think the number one surprise walking off the plane, even into the airport, was the cleanliness, both of not only of the airport, but of when you get outside, even to the parking garage where the cars are. It's as if they polished the pavement. I've never seen anything quite like it. And just the way, I remember we stopped at a McDonald's at the airport a couple times right in there, and it was amazing just also to see the perfect spotlessness and excellence, and also the way that people do their jobs just with pride, and take pride in what they're doing. I've worked in food service for many years in the past, and in America, oftentimes there's not a whole lot of pride taken in food service, depending on especially if it's a lower chain place or a lower ranking restaurant and things like that. But that's something I noticed throughout my time there, is that there's a lot of pride taken in every job that people do. They seem to just do it well and work hard and take that self-respect in it. I think part of that is the homogeneous nature of China, and that you feel a sense of communal belonging in a different way that a country that has many different ethnic backgrounds could possibly feel. And I think the genius nature shows a lot of strengths in that way. There's a sense of expectation if you're part of that community, of that country. Obviously, there are many different ethnicities in China, but there's still a far greater level of homogeneous nature to the country than compared to the melting pot in America, to a far greater extent. Another thing that I was surprised by was I noticed very quickly, especially my first visit there, was the level of just personal freedom that people have. And, we're often told in America that we're the only country that has all these wonderful freedoms and everything. And there's some truth to that. And we do have more freedoms and some more benefits in the legal system. We have more freedom of speech, that especially protesting the government and things like that. Certainly that's true. But on just a day-to-day basis in China, I notice all the freedoms are identically the same. Business ownership is huge. Personal business ownership over there. Personally owned businesses everywhere. I'd say more than in the United States. I would easily say that from the multiple times I've visited. Ownership of property, I would have to look at the statistics, but an enormous number of homeowners, and you can also buy apartments there, so you can own a small apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment. There's a lot of personal ownership, and just freedom of expression is totally present, just like it is in the States. Freedom of speech, again, on an individual level, is very much present. We talked to cab drivers that shared their frustrations with the current Chinese government, and they were not afraid of anything. And it also amazed me that it was less censored than I thought. When we went to the church service, a Christmas Eve service, Catholic church service, it was not at all censored. The sermon was on John 3:16. We recited the Nicene Creed and talked about the divinity of Jesus, and there was no, secret police standing at the door or anything like that. And so a lot of those things just kind of, those preconceptions kind of fade away when you just actually go there, which is great. And I think, overall, I would say people are friendly overall, by and large. I would say either very friendly or pleasant, and professional. And then there is a good number who are just indifferent, so a good large chunk that are just kind of not mean, but not very friendly, just very indifferent. So, we get that in most countries. And then the nicest place, friendliest, would be Belgium, especially southern Belgium. So if you haven't been there, to all the viewers out there, I would say definitely get down to southern Belgium and experience just the unbelievable friendliness and just the beauty of Belgium and architecture and the food and the quaintness of southern Belgium. Yeah, another thing that really surprised me in a positive way was the creativity. The creativity over there with the food and the drinks and the design and the architecture, and even like the creativity with just so many personally owned businesses, and really kind of blew me away, especially for a overwhelmingly homogeneous culture. I think it was really impressive. I will say I'm not fond of all the food, so I really like the Cantonese dishes, the dim sum, and I like some of the hot pot, not all of it. Some of the food is too oily for me, but then also it's amazing. You can get a fresh and often very delicious meal in a mom and pop restaurant on the street, and it's going to be the cleanest restaurant you've ever seen in your entire life. And it's going to be the equivalent of like $2 US. So amazing, really wonderful. And, but let me think for a second. Something negative that I didn't like that much would be, although I like the homogeneous nature kind of creates a shared culture and a shared identity, a shared sense of belonging. It does get a little old after a while, and I think that's because I come from the melting pot, which is America, and we don't realize that until we go somewhere like China. You miss a little bit of that smorgasbord of diversity that we see in the United States. At first I really didn't like, you have to pay with WeChat or use WePay to pay for everything. Kind of drove me crazy. I wish you could just tap your card, but they don't use bank cards. It's all on WeChat and WePay, and I was frustrated, and so that to me was a big negative the first trip. But toward the end of the second trip, I learned to use WePay and WeChat, and it is very easy once you do it. It's very easy to pay with the code on there. Some places in the States already do something similar to that, like Whole Foods Market, and you can pay with the code. And but obviously very centralized, trying to make it easier, but it does actually cause some irritation, does make things harder. With most technology, that is often the case. We say it makes things easier, and it actually complicates things. I think that was one of the biggest downsides is that they don't accept cards anymore. I think they still accept cash largely. Most places, I'd say 90% accept RMB and cash. So that's a wonderful positive that they're still doing. Last thing that surprised me, I went to Beijing and I was surprised. I thought this is going to be probably very ugly because it's kind of the capital. A lot of times the capital cities I would just assume they're not quite as beautiful. But for some reason I just had this very scary view of Beijing in terms of like very ugly and cold and harsh looking. It is totally, again, not true. Spotless, everywhere was spotless because they sweep the streets in the mornings, and they have sweeping teams that sweep the streets. It's just, you can almost eat off the sidewalk. It was insane, and that's in Beijing. And I found that just, again, the beauty of a lot of the architecture. While I will say I don't think it's as beautiful as Europe, I think Europe is definitely one step higher. China does have some just enormously artistic architecture and beauty to it, and everything is very well preserved. Don't get me wrong, there is definitely areas of cities that are more run down, like any country. But even there, they're still clean, which is weird. Like even the most run-down area I walked through in Chengdu, which is like the old city, was still extraordinarily clean, and all the gas stations are spotless, you know. And I think what stood out to me also the most is just how safe it felt. This profound unusual, because we come from the States where you don't want to walk through a city like New York City at midnight, you know, by yourself, especially as a woman or a child, or even as a guy by yourself. But oh my gosh, there's just no feeling of any danger. It's such a bizarre feeling. And Europe's a little bit more like that, but not as much nowadays. But it's even beyond that. I can't quite explain it. And when you see like single young ladies walking down the street at 1 a.m. by themselves, just walking along, no fear, because there's just, the crime is so low. It's just beautiful. I can't explain it. It's like the family wholesomeness to it. And obviously I'm well aware that China still struggles with human trafficking, and the government has been trying to stomp that out for a long time, and it still most definitely exists, which is horrible. But every country struggles with human trafficking, and China continues to squash the human trafficking. But at least from my experience being there multiple times for multiple months, this feeling of safety is remarkable. And the police presence is very low, almost non-existent, because it's not that needed. So it doesn't feel like a police state in the slightest. So that's pretty much it for me. And again, look for that link for the China travel tour that I did. I did 2 of them for you guys a while back. And look for that link, and like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. And if you have any comments or questions, or you'd like me to answer about my traveling to China, and please put that in the chat box, and I'll check it out. This is Bro Matt, and I'm signing off.
With my boys by my side, that's how we roll. Cruising down the highway, yeah, we taking control. Buddy the Bichon, living life on the road. Through sunsets and highways, watch our story unfold. Adventure awaits, it's a beautiful sight. Together we roam under stars shining bright. Buckle up, cause it's a bumpy ride. Buddy and the bros, we're really fly. So here's to the moments, the laughter, the fun. Our journey's just begun, yeah, we're never done. Chillin' in the city, strutting that block. Smell the fresh air, let the good times unlock. We 3 musketeers, always ready to play. No limits to the fun, just living day by day. Climbing high mountains, feeling that peak air. Swimming in oceans, we got nothing to spare. Buckle up, cause it's a bumpy ride. Buddy and the bros, we're really fly. So here's to the moments, the laughter, the fun. Our journey's just begun, yeah, we're never done. So sit back, relax, join our vibe with Buddy and the crew. Come take a ride.
迎财神，接财神，把财神接到我家里头。